want to talk about the Jefferson administration. I want to talk about the Jefferson administration. I think that one of the interesting observations that both Birkin and Hofstadter leave you in regards to Jefferson is the fact that Jefferson seemed to be very, very contradictory, and some might even say deeply hypocritical. In assessing the Jefferson administration, many people might reach the conclusion that Jefferson was deeply contradictory, and they may even take it further and say that Jefferson was full of hypocrisy. It is not difficult to make such an assessment. I'm not sure that the assessment is correct. Right, make this take this down if you would. As you know, Jefferson seemed to be an individual who had a very distinct point of view. Jefferson had a very distinct point of view. When I say that he had a very distinct point of view, I simply mean that Jefferson seemed to represent a body of ideas and inclinations that were strongly held by him. Isn't that correct? Didn't Jefferson tend to represent ideas that were very often in opposition to the Federalists, in opposition to Hamilton, in opposition to Washington? Jefferson represented things with a degree of passion. So it seemed. Jefferson seemed to represent ideas with a degree of great passion. Give me an example of an idea that Jefferson that seemed to represent. Jefferson seemed to say that the Constitution should be interpreted strictly. Jefferson seemed to take the position that the Constitution should be read in a very literal way. And so, as the gentleman suggests, when the question of the constitutionality of the Bank of the United States came up, Jefferson made the point that the bank was not specifically mentioned in the Constitution, and therefore we shouldn't do it. Is that correct? Continue. The hallmark of the Jefferson presidency, the high water point, the most significant achievement of the Jefferson administration probably had to do with Jefferson making a decision to buy the Louisiana Territory when it was offered to him from France. Jefferson had the opportunity. France needed money. Napoleon needed money. And Napoleon offered Jefferson the opportunity to buy that great swath of land that extended into, that would include the Mississippi River, that great interior third of the United States that we call the Louisiana Territory, including the Mississippi River, going down to New Orleans, this enormous geographical area. Tell me about Jefferson's decision regarding Louisiana. We have said Jefferson wanted to view the Constitution in a very literal sense, so that if we read the Constitution, would it say anything about Louisiana? Would it say anything about buying property? It says nothing about Louisiana. It says nothing about buying property. Is a good deal a good deal? Do you pass up a good deal? Jefferson doesn't pass up a good deal either. Jefferson believed that Louisiana was essential to buy. It was essential to purchase Louisiana. It was essential. It was essential to purchase Louisiana. Now listen, what does Jefferson do? Jefferson uses the arguments of Hamilton in order to purchase Louisiana. He uses the arguments of Hamilton. Remember Jefferson and Hamilton, the Bank of the United States? Mohammed, Jefferson and Hamilton, the Bank of the United States? Jefferson says, we can't buy it. We shouldn't have, we shouldn't have a bank. Hamilton says, we should have a bank. Look at Article 1, Section 8. We should have a bank. Jefferson says to the president, to Washington, I looked at Article 1, Section 8. We still shouldn't have a bank. Jefferson wants to buy Louisiana. What does he say? Look at Article 1, Section 8. He says, we want to buy Louisiana? Look at Article 1, Section 8. That's the basis that we should buy Louisiana. In Article 1, Section 8, the Elastic Clause. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is called the Elastic Clause. We can do what we need to do in order to better define the nation. Professor, is this an example of Jefferson's hypocrisy? Is this an example of Jefferson's hypocrisy? Somebody help me.
Yes.
It seems hypocritical, doesn't it? Because it is so obviously different from what he said. Give me a difference of opinion. Give me an argument that it is not hypocrisy. Let's take the gentleman says it's two different situations. Different situations demand different approaches. Tell me more. Why isn't it hypocritical? The gentleman is making the point that Jefferson came to the conclusion that it was a good deal. You can't pass up a good deal. That it cost $15 million for 1 million square acres of land. Jefferson says we have to do it. Because he's a hypocrite? Because it's a different circumstance. Jefferson will say something. The coat that fits you as a boy can never fit you as a man. The coat that you wear as a kid, the coat you wear, you can never wear that coat when you're a man. What's the implication? Have you seen an old picture of yourself? What do you say? Oh my God, yuck! That's me? That's you! That's you! You've changed. You have a right to change. You have a right to change. You have a right to change your mind. You have a right to be different from who you were. The coat that fits you as a boy can never fit you as a man. The old you will never be the new you. Never. You must become a new you. It's a different circumstance, isn't it? I still think he's a hypocrite. You can think he's a hypocrite. Maybe he is. Maybe he is a great hypocrite. It's irresolvable, isn't it? He certainly took a different position. Do we expect that President Obama will take different positions now that he's president than when he was a candidate? We expect that, don't we? It's the nature of the beast. Question, come on. He was worried about the bank because he thought that the bank would represent the rich. Stop tapping. In Louisiana, when he bought Louisiana, What was he able to do? Now what could he say about it? He says, now when he buys Louisiana, he says, as you know, I want people to be small, independent farmers. Now we have enough land so that there will be 1,000 generations of small, independent farmers. Jefferson looks at Louisiana as the fulfillment, as a fulfillment of his dream of a rural, agricultural people who have the opportunity to buy land. Jefferson looks at Louisiana as the fulfillment, so that ordinary people can have the opportunity to buy land and to have land. Land that they will own and land that they can pass on to future generations. So when he talks about buying land for Louisiana, what he's really talking about is providing not the rich, but the average person with an opportunity to fulfill themselves. How many of you would like 150 acres of land today? That'd be a good deal, right? That'd be a good deal. Would that be a fulfillment? Would you know what to do with it? No, you wouldn't, but you could learn. You know, you could learn. It would be different than working in McDonald's, wouldn't it? Jefferson would not like that fulfillment. Jefferson believed that the country should be a rural country, should be an agricultural country, that everyone should have dirty fingernails, because dirty fingernails mean that your hand is in the soil. And if your hand is in the soil, and you're always concerned about the weather, and you always know what bugs are around to eat your crops, you will be a very, very rooted person. You'll be very rooted. You will understand. You will understand what is truly important in life. Not what other people tell you is important. Not what the newspapers tell you. Importance comes right down to a basic level. That's what Jefferson wanted. Professor, I'm still very disturbed about something. I'm still very disturbed that Jefferson, as a man, apparently carried on a many-year relationship with a slave, and that he fostered children with this slave that he never identified, never recognized, that he kept it a secret, and that he, despite saying he was opposed to slavery, in a sense, maintained slavery in the deepest recesses of his life, of his very personal life. I'm very disturbed about an individual who has witnessed the birth of children that he has fathered and apparently has a hard heart in regards to their status, their legal status. I'm disturbed about that. I'm disturbed at Jefferson's capacity to love. Is that worthy of being disturbed about? How do you evaluate that? What does Hofstadter say? What she in effect is saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is a hard reality, okay? This was very much a man's world. The duplicity of men was accepted. Duplicity with slaves, it was accepted. It was a reality. That's why there was so many children born to black women who were fathered by white men. That was part of the duplicity of this period.